make sure that he did not die in vain, that his name will live on forever.
It's June 20th, 2018, 11:37 at night in the Bronx. A 15-year-old boy pushes through the door of a corner bodega. He's barefoot. He's running so fast he lost his sandals somewhere on the pavement behind him. He vaults the counter, it just throws his whole body over it, and crouches down, trying to hide. The bodega owner doesn't understand what's happening. He pushes the kid back at first. It thinks maybe it's a robbery, but then he sees the boy's face. He knows this kid. This kid grew up on this block, but he does nothing to help him. "They looking for me," the boy says. "They running for me." Before anyone can react, the door swings open again. Men pour into the store, armed, machetes, knives. To understand what happened next, and to understand why millions of people would eventually take to the streets demanding justice,
Justice for Junior! Justice for Junior!
we have to go back and know who the boy was first. Hi there. Today we're looking at a case that sent shockwaves through an entire city. The brutal murder of a 15-year-old boy whose only dream was to become a detective.
He always wanted to be a detective.
All of his dreams, everything just got cut short, and he probably didn't even know why.
I'll be honest with you. This is one of the hardest cases I've ever had to cover. So if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe, tap the notification bell, and let's get into it. Lisandro Guzman Feliz was born on November 11, 2002, in the Belmont section of the Bronx. His family, his mother Leandra Feliz, his father Lisandro Guzman, his older sister Genesis, and his brother Manuel called him Junior. Everyone did. And if you asked anyone who knew Junior what they remembered most about him, they'd all say the same thing. That smile.
I'm rapping, bro. Stop rapping.
Nah, in my planet you don't rap.
His school, the Dr. Richard Izquierdo Health and Science Charter School, released a statement after his death calling him, and this is a direct quote, "a kind, sweet, respectful young man, always smiling, who had so much potential." This is how his mom described him.
My son was a little child, a little kid, 15 years old. He just starting to live his life. He was a sweet child. He never had been into any fight in between his short life. His dream was to be a detective. Since 5 years old, he liked to play with a police car, and he said to me, "Mommy, I want to be a police."
But here's the detail that's going to stay with you throughout this entire story. Since he was 5 years old, Junior wanted to be a police officer. Here's what his sister said. Think about that. At 5 years old,
Ever since he was little, he said he wanted to be a cop. He always wanted to be a detective. And he's like, I want to chase people. That was like the main reason. He wanted the car. He wanted to do high-speed chase. He wanted to do all that dangerous stuff.
while most kids are figuring out their favorite cartoon character, this boy already knew he wanted to protect people. And he never wavered. Not once. Not for his entire life. He was a Yankees fan. He was obsessed with NBA 2K, like really obsessed with it. His go-to food? Pepperoni pizza. He was a normal kid, a good kid, a kid who happened to dream bigger than his block. His memorial Instagram page carries a quote attributed to him that reads, "You see me normal, but inside it's a whole different planet." In January 2018, Junior finally took a real step toward that dream. He joined the NYPD Explorers program at the 45th Precinct. If you don't know what the Explorers program is, it's basically an initiative for young people between 14 and 20 who are interested in law enforcement careers. They learn drills, study the NYPD's rank system, and get mentored by real officers. Junior's mentor was a guy named John Grace, a 24-year-old NYPD auxiliary officer who was also attending John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Grace later told reporters that Junior was quiet when he first joined, a little shy, but they broke him in fast. They'd go bowling together, meet at the park, talk about video games, NBA 2K, obviously. And Junior told Grace he wanted to go to John Jay College too. Same school, same dream.
He told me it's just basically that he wanted to get back to the community. He wanted to save people. So that was his desire to become a cop.
On June 12, 2018, Grace and Junior sat down together at a taco spot in Washington Heights. They were planning a group trip to Six Flags with the other explorers. Junior was excited. They all were. That trip to Six Flags, it never happened. 8 days later, Junior would be dead, and Officer Grace would be standing at his funeral telling the other explorers, "This is the hardest thing we'll ever have to do." To understand what happened to Junior, you have to understand the machine that killed him. And I don't mean individual people, I mean the system, the gang, the structure that turned a group of men into a hunting party on a summer night. The Trinitarios were founded on Rikers Island, a New York City's notorious jail complex, in the late 1980s. And here's the part that should make your blood boil. They were founded to protect Dominican inmates. That was the original purpose. Dominican prisoners were getting beaten, extorted, and targeted by other gangs inside Rikers, and the Trinitarios formed as a mutual protection group. Their name comes from La Trinitaria, the revolutionary group that led the Dominican Republic to independence from Haiti in 1844. Their motto, God, Country, Liberty, the same motto as the Dominican Republic itself. And their weapon of choice, the machete, a symbol of Dominican independence, of farming, of the homeland. A gang created to protect Dominicans used a Dominican national symbol to murder a Dominican 15-year-old child. Now here's where it gets even more absurd. This wasn't rival gangs fighting. This was the same gang fighting itself. The Trinitarios had splintered into factions, subsets that were beefing with each other. Two of those subsets were called Los Shures and Sunset. Both Trinitarios, both Dominican, both from the Bronx, fighting over territory, pride, and the kind of petty power that only matters when you've got nothing else. The leader of Los Shures was a 29-year-old man named Diego Suero. His street name was Psycho. And on the evening of June 20th, 2018, Suero gathered his soldiers at his home on Boston Road in the Bronx. His second in command, a 20-year-old named Frederick Then, was there too. The order was simple: go out and commit violence against Sunset members. Anyone associated with Sunset would do. They armed themselves with machetes and knives. They piled into 4 cars. They fueled up at a gas station and they headed out into the Bronx on a hunt. And somewhere in that same borough on that same night, a 15-year-old boy in sandals was stepping out of his apartment to repay a friend $5. Around 11:30 p.m. on June 20th, 2018, Junior left his apartment in Belmont. He told his mother he was heading downstairs to repay $5 to a friend. His mother, Leandra, had a bad feeling about Adam's Place, a nighttime gathering spot a few blocks from their apartment where neighborhood kids would hang out. She didn't want Junior going there.
I was already in bed, trying to sleep because I have to go to work the next day. That's when he went to my room and said, "Mommy, Jason said he wanted $5. And I say, "Oh my God, by that time, Junior, it's too late." I say, "No, Mommy, I go and give it to him." I say, "Did really you want to go?" And he went to my purse, he opened my purse and grabbed the $10. And I let him go to bring it down the $5. I was falling asleep and I called him, Junior, you're taking too long, come. He answered to me, 10:32. I spoke with him over the phone. I heard normal voice. I don't hear nothing. I just say, "Come, please, come." He said, "Yes, Mommy, I'm coming." I fall asleep.
But he was 15 and it was summer and $5 is $5. He made a phone call to a friend. That would be his last phone call. What happened next was pieced together from surveillance footage and witness statements. A 4-car convoy of Los Shures gang members was cruising through the neighborhood near D'Oria Murphy Triangle, a small park area, when they spotted Junior walking on the street. According to a law enforcement source who spoke to PYX11, they yelled "Dos" greeting. He stopped. That was enough for them to assume he was Sunset. When he turns around and he can see there's 4 cars in the middle of the street, he starts to run. But Junior wasn't a gang member. The Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark would later confirm on the record, Guzman Fells had no ties to any gang activity. None.
This was an intra-gang conflict where the defendants allegedly plotted to attack an upstart set of the Trinitarios and allegedly committed a crime that has shocked people everywhere for its brutality. Because the killing of this young Bronx resident was captured in widely circulated videos, It has generated outrage as well as an outpouring of community support.
Junior ran. He ran for 4 to 5 blocks through the nighttime streets of the Bronx. His route, reconstructed from surveillance cameras, down East 184th Street, left onto 3rd Avenue, right onto East 183rd Street, sprinting toward the bodega. He was running so fast that he lost his sandals. He was barefoot on Bronx pavement in the dark, with multiple men and 2 cars chasing him. 2 more vehicles were coming from a different direction. On one of the surveillance cameras, you can see Jonaiki Martinez Estrella, the man in the red hat, brandishing a huge knife as he approaches the bodega. He already had it out, before they even caught the boy. Around 11:37 p.m., Junior pushes through the front door of the Cruz and Cheeky Grocery at 526 East 183rd Street and Bathgate Avenue. It's a corner bodega, the kind you see on every block in the Bronx. It was supposed to close at 11 p.m. that night, but had stayed open late. Junior vaults the counter. The bodega owner, Modesto Cruz, pushes him back at first. He doesn't know what's happening, thinks maybe it's a robbery, but then he recognizes the kid. Junior grew up on this block. Cruz had known him since he was small. Junior tells him, "They looking for me, they running for me."
Holding, I don't know what's going on. And when he told me he's looking for me, they looking for me, or they're running for me. So I helped him bring it down, but he was so scared. I remember his face. He was so scared, and I tried to hold it down, and he's jump up. The other people that coming for him, they saw him, he was already there.
Cruz helps him down behind the counter, tries to hide him, but within seconds, the gang members are inside. And here's where the story of who failed Junior that night really begins. I want to be fair here because this is complicated and people's lives were at stake. The bodega owner later said he tried to hold the door. He said the gang members threatened to kill him too. He was scared. He was 2 people against an armed mob. But what the surveillance footage shows, and what would haunt this community for years, is that when the gang members entered the store, Junior's hiding spot was pointed out. And here's a detail that will never leave me. According to PIX11's review of the surveillance footage, an FDNY ambulance, a real, actual ambulance, slowly passed the bodega entrance just seconds before Junior was dragged outside. It drove right past. 19 seconds. That's what PIX11 counted. 19 seconds before they pulled a 15-year-old boy out to the sidewalk to die, an ambulance rolled past the front door of that bodega completely unaware. 19 seconds. If any one thing had gone differently, if that ambulance had stopped, if someone had flagged it down, if Junior had gotten outside just a little sooner, he might still be alive today. At approximately 11:38 p.m. on the sidewalk outside the bodega, multiple men surrounded Junior. I'm going to tell you what happened, but I'm not going to turn this child's death into a spectacle. What you need to know is this. Elvin Garcia, face covered with a black scarf, lunged at Junior with a knife, stabbing him multiple times. Jose Muniz hacked at him with a machete. And Jonaiki Martinez Estrella, the man in the red hat, delivered the fatal blow, a machete strike to Junior's neck that severed his jugular vein. The entire attack lasted approximately 20 seconds. 20 seconds to end a 15-year-old's life. A boy who wanted to be a detective. A boy who loved pepperoni pizza and NBA 2K and the New York Yankees. A boy whose biggest plan that week was a trip to Six Flags. 20 seconds. Across the street, in a 5th-floor apartment, 3 women were watching from their windows. Tamika Jones, 21, and her friend Jamie, 18, who had known Junior since he was a toddler. They screamed at the attackers to stop. They screamed at Junior to run.
I was here standing, getting my daughter ready for bed. I looked out the window because I seen a bunch of men running, and I seen it was an older group. I seen the others coming from the white car and the gray car. And I seen one of them running like this with the machete on his side.
I noticed that it happened really quickly, and I noticed that it was a lot of guys, and I also saw 3 cars. I didn't even know it was a 4th car.
I left my 2-year-old daughter here to go downstairs to help someone kid I didn't even know.
He grew fast. Like I used to know him when he was like this, like this, like this. I didn't know he ran to the hospital. I didn't see him run to the hospital. He was yelling. He was like, it's Junior, it's Junior. His eyes was closing while he was sitting there, and my best friend was like, please keep your eyes open, keep your eyes open.
He was gasping for air, asking us for water.
We knew that we couldn't pick him up because he's bleeding internally.
Everyone just stood around while we was there helping him.
My girlfriend had her shirt. She took off her shirt. She seen it in a sports bra and was holding his neck.
And his last words was water.
After the attack, Martinez Estrella pushed the critically wounded Junior back against the bodega door. Junior stumbled inside, bleeding heavily. He was looking for help. And this is one of the hardest details in this entire case. Surveillance footage from inside the store shows an elderly customer, a man who had been waiting to buy snacks, standing there as a mortally wounded child stumbled in, blood all over his body. The footage shows this man waving money at the counter. He wanted to pay for his groceries. A 15-year-old boy was dying in front of him, and he was waving bills at the register. The bodega owner was on the phone. He says he was calling 911. He made his first call at 11:39 p.m. He pointed Junior toward the door, and the hospital up the street, St. Barnabas Hospital, was 1 block away. So Junior went, bleeding from his neck, bleeding from multiple stab wounds. This 15-year-old boy walked himself out of that bodega and started moving up the inclined east, 183rd Street, toward the hospital. Surveillance cameras captured him crossing 3rd Avenue, walking slowly now. You can see him slowing down, the life leaving him one step at a time. He made it to a security booth just yards from the hospital entrance, and that's where he collapsed. Jamie and Tamika and their friends had run downstairs from the 5th floor. They reached him. One friend took off her own shirt and pressed it against the wound on his neck, trying to stop the bleeding. Tamika Jones would later testify in court. He had blood all over his body. He was trying to stay alive, holding his wound himself. A witness who spoke to PYX11 said, "He was like really holding on. He's strong." Junior's last words, according to sworn court testimony from Tamika Jones, were that he asked for water. He asked for water. He was 15 years old, and the hospital he was trying to reach, the one that was just 1 block away from the bodega, that's where his mother, Leandra Feliz, worked. Let that sit. Junior was pronounced dead just before midnight on June 20th, 2018.
Cuando llegué, ya lo tenían envuelto en tape, que estaba muerto ya así.
His mother was summoned from her nearby apartment. She would later stand in a courtroom and say 6 words that I haven't been able to get out of my head since I started researching this case. That night, 2 of us died, my son and I. Within days, the surveillance footage of Junior's attack began circulating on social media. The hashtag #JusticeForJunior exploded. It trended nationally, then internationally. Vigils sprang up across the Bronx. Memorials piled up outside the bodega. The community didn't just grieve, they mobilized. NYPD Chief of Detectives Dermot Shea posted on social media he was never going to give up on his dream of being an NYPD detective and will never give up on him. Tips poured into NYPD hotlines. The community wanted justice.
Justice for Junior! Justice for Junior!
They wanted someone to explain how a 15-year-old honor student could be butchered on a public sidewalk and nobody stopped it. The bodega owner, Modesto Cruz, became a target of community rage. People demanded his store be shut down. A petition circulated online calling for charges against him. City council members called for the bodega's closure. Cruz stopped operating the store and eventually turned it over to new management. NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill addressed the controversy directly. Cruz didn't do anything criminal, he said, but he added, people have to be reflective on what their actions were, and maybe they could have done a better job. A man who did nothing criminal, a boy who did nothing wrong. And somehow, the boy is dead.
People have to be reflective on what their actions were, and maybe they could have done a better job. People are responsible for their own actions. It's a 15-year-old kid.
The arrests came fast. The first, Kevin Alvarez, the man who dragged Junior from behind the counter, was arrested within days. 5, then 8, then 12, then 14 suspects were taken into custody. 6 of them were caught in Paterson, New Jersey. They'd fled across state lines. And then something happened that, to me, captures the absolute absurdity and cruelty of this case. The gang leader, the leader of Los Churas, sent an apology to Junior's family over Snapchat. He admitted it was a case of mistaken identity. He said he was sorry. A Snapchat apology. for murdering a child. On June 27, 2018, Junior was buried. The funeral was held at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in Belmont, the same Bronx neighborhood where he'd lived and died. Over 1,000 mourners showed up. The pallbearers wore New York Yankees jerseys. Junior's favorite team, NYPD Explorers, stood in uniform. Police Commissioner O'Neill attended. Mayor Bill de Blasio came to the wake. And outside the church, the crowd chanted the same 3 words that had echoed across social media, across the country, across the world: justice for Junior. Now, before the trials even began, something important happened. There was a theory circulating online and in the early news reports that Junior was targeted because he resembled a boy in a sex tape involving a gang member's relative. Some media outlets reported this as fact, citing anonymous police sources. But the Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark explicitly shut this down. She stated, "As far as we know, at this time, there was no relation to any sex tape to this particular case. That was said on social media, but that has not been the information that we have in our case." And at sentencing, Jose Muniz himself denied the sex tape theory. He said it had to do with a friend of his, Carlos Cabral, who was shot in the eye 2 days before the murder. Muniz claimed Junior was present at the scene of that shooting, a claim Junior's family and the DA rejected entirely. So we don't have a neat, clean motive. What we have is a gang that went looking for someone to hurt and found a child instead. The trial opened in May 2019. Never before seen NYPD corner camera footage was shown to the jury. Jurors gasped. Junior's mother broke down. On June 14, 2019, all 5 men, Yonaiki Martinez Estrella, Jose Muniz, Elvin Garcia, Emmanuel Leon Rivera, and Antonio Rodriguez Hernandez Santiago, were convicted on all counts: first-degree murder, second-degree murder, gang assault, conspiracy. The first-degree murder conviction was significant because it acknowledged that Junior was tortured before his death. At sentencing in October 2019, Martinez Estrella, the man who delivered the fatal blow, told the judge, "I'm sorry, my intention was not to cause death." He blamed drugs, alcohol, and allegiance to the Trinitarios gang. He received life in prison without parole. Muniz got 25 years to life. And as he was led away from the courtroom after his guilty verdict, after being convicted of helping to murder a child, Jose Muniz turned to the gallery and shouted, "Popote, hasta la muerte, Trinitario till death." The prosecutor, ADA Morgan Dolan, would later reference this at sentencing. This is not a man who has learned from his actions. Trial 2 went after the men who ordered it all. Diego Suero, the gang leader who issued the kill order from his living room, and Frederick, then his second-in-command. The key evidence? A text message. After Junior's murder, a fellow Trinitario sent Suero a message. "You are the one that gave the light for the kid." Suero replied, "Yes, for all of Sunset. Yes, for all of Sunset." He ordered a child's death, confirmed it by text, and slept in his own bed that night. Both were convicted. Both received 25 years to life. And then there was the third trial. 6 more defendants, the chasers and the draggers, the ones who pursued Junior and helped pull him from the bodega. They pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Their sentences ranged from 12 to 18 years. But this is where the injustice hits hardest. And it comes down to one name, Kevin Alvarez. Kevin Alvarez was 19 years old on the night Junior died. He chased Junior in his car. He beat Junior inside the bodega. He physically dragged Junior from his hiding spot by his hood and delivered him to the men waiting with machetes on the sidewalk. He was originally charged with murder, but Kevin Alvarez made a deal. He became the prosecution's star witness, and the terms of that deal, revealed in open court, made the entire courtroom gasp. Literally, there were audible gasps. If Alvarez testified truthfully at all 3 trials, his manslaughter plea would be withdrawn. He would be sentenced to time served on a conspiracy charge only. Kevin Alvarez, the man who dragged a 15-year-old boy from his hiding spot and handed him to a mob armed with machetes, could walk free. Does that feel like justice to you? Because it doesn't feel like justice to me. A boy is dead. 13 men are in prison, and the one who physically dragged that boy to his executioners may walk free. But here's what I want you to take away from this. Junior's death wasn't just a tragedy, it became a turning point. The intersection of Bathgate Avenue and 183rd Street, the corner where Junior was attacked, was renamed Lisandro Jr. Guzman Feliz Way. The ceremony happened in February 2019 on his mother's birthday. The NYPD established the Lisandro Guzman Feliz Memorial College Fund, a $5,000 scholarship awarded to 2 NYPD Explorer graduates every year. After Junior's death, applications to the Explorer program surged by 30%, and the bodega, the Cruz and Chicky Grocery became the city's first safe haven bodega, outfitted with panic buttons, magnetic lock doors, 24/7 monitored security cameras, shatterproof windows, and strobe lights. The very safety measures that might have saved Junior's life came into existence because of his death. Think about that. The system that could have protected him was built on his grave. His mother, Leandra Fellas, moved from the apartment. She couldn't stay. But the walls of her new home are covered in Junior's photos. She wears shirts that say Forever 15. She still fights for equal sentencing in group assault cases because the disparity between the men who swung the machetes and the men who held the victim haunts her. 5 years after her son's murder, she told reporters he was really innocent. His dream was to be a police officer. And then she said something that should be the baseline for every parent's advocacy. I don't want to see another mother never to lose her son in the way I lose my son, Junior.
His dream was to be a detective. Since 5 years old, he liked to play with a police car, and he said to me, "Mommy, I want to be a police."
There's one more thing you should know. In March 2023, Yunaiki Martinez Estrella, the man who delivered the fatal blow, the man in the red hat, had his first-degree murder conviction overturned on appeal. The court found insufficient evidence for the torture element required for first-degree murder. He was resentenced to 25 years to life, still an enormous sentence, intense, but no longer life without parole. Then, on June 27, 2025, Martinez Estrella was found dead in his cell at Coxsackie Correctional Facility. He was 31 years old. Staff attempted CPR, administered Narcan, and used an AED. None of it worked. His cause of death is still pending. He was the hand that delivered the fatal blow. He lived 7 more years than Junior ever got, and now he's gone too. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about that. Some people will see it as karma. Some will see it as another wasted life in a system that failed everyone. But what I will tell you is this. Junior Guzman Feliz wanted to be a detective. He wanted to protect people. He was 15 years old, wearing sandals, carrying $5 for a friend on a summer night in the Bronx. And on the night of June 20th, 2018, nobody protected him. If this case hit you the way it hit me, leave a comment below. I want to hear what you think about the Kevin Alvarez deal, because I still don't have an answer for that one. And if you want to see more cases like this, subscribe and hit that bell. I'll see you in the next one.